Welcome to Beijing, the capital of China. We have just half a day to go and see some of the most spectacular sights, so let me take you around with me. In this vlog, I'll show you what we got up to, the costs, and my first impressions of this bustling city. So let's get into it. Good morning from Beijing. We are here on a 20-hour layover as we are making our way over from London, Gatwick, all the way to Sydney. So we've got 20 hours to explore the city. There was a couple of things we did want to do, which was like Tiananmen Square. However, you did have to put that in advance, and you also had to have a Chinese phone number, which wasn't ideal. However, there is plenty more to do in this massive city, so let's go out and explore. To get around today, we are going to be using the DD app, so I definitely recommend you downloading that. You can either do that or take the metro. It's a lot quicker using the DD app, as that's like Uber, so you just drive straight to the location. So we're going to Jingshan Park to begin with, where hopefully we'll get amazing views over the Forbidden City. So it took us 50 minutes to actually get into the centre. It is so busy around here, honestly. The traffic is crazy, but one of my first impressions, I have to say, is that it is really green. And you'll notice everywhere as well, there's like these bikes, which is kind of like the Boris bikes which you get in the UK, and it feels really clean, and the temperature is like lovely. It's like room temperature out here right now, and especially with the sun beaming on us too, it is really nice. So it's a great start here in Beijing. So we are just making our way towards the park now, and we have come across what is the Forbidden City. Now look at how cool that looks. So it's obviously got the moat on all the way around. This is just in the centre of Beijing, and then right in the centre is the Forbidden City itself, and it's got some really cool building there. I'm not actually sure what that is, so we'll have to go and check that out. So the Forbidden City is another attraction which you do have to pre-book, either using WeChat or using Chinese phone number. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that today and actually go inside. However, it is meant to be really cool, but we probably wouldn't have enough time to go inside and see everything anyway, as we have got our flight in just a few hours. But just look at how beautiful that is. This area does get super busy though, with sightseeing tours and people leaving the Forbidden City. So if you don't like crowded spaces, then I wouldn't come here. And also, one thing we've noticed too is that there's cameras everywhere. So you can see those cameras up there. There's literally rows of them everywhere. So you're constantly being watched by the looks of it. So behind us right now is the exit to the Forbidden Temple, which actually just looks insane, I have to say. And opposite there is where we're going to be heading, as we can get a ticket hopefully at the entrance, and that is Jingshan Park. So as you can see, it is on a mound. Now that mound was actually made from the moat of the Forbidden City, so it is a man-made hill, and hopefully from the gardens we'll get to see the Forbidden City from above. And we are here in the Jingshan Park, which is beautiful, and it only cost us 2 yen per person, which is crazy because that's 4 yen, which is equivalent to 41 pence. So the tourist attractions here are very cheap if you do want to go and see them. But we're going to take a look around now. The park area is massive by the looks of it, and it could involve a lot of going uphill, so we'll have to see as we go around. So we found what is called the Mountain Road, which is basically loads of steps up to the top, and I think there's like a little palace thing or shrine up at the top, so hopefully we should see something pretty cool, but it is already tiring coming up these stairs again. Behind me right now is the Jifang Pavilion, and there are multiple pavilions on the way up to the top, and already we are getting incredible views of the city. Just look at that. That is beautiful. It's a beautiful day too, with the blue skies and stuff. Unfortunately, you weren't allowed to take a drone into this section. It was quite funny actually, because we saw a couple of other things that you weren't allowed to take in, and one was a speaker, which kind of makes sense, and then the other was a saxophone, so a very specific musical instrument that you can't take apparently around this park. As you're going around, there are also places where you can buy food, like this little shack, which is behind me. Obviously, if you don't have cash, you can actually use an app called Alipay, which we actually used to buy the tickets to get into here. So you basically scan like a code, and then it takes it out of your card, which you've linked to the app, and it's as simple as that. So Alipay is another one, which is quite good to download if you are coming to China. Behind me is the Wangshun Pavilion, which was built during the Ming Dynasty in the 15th century. And this is right up at the top of the hill, so that is why you get the best views of the city. I definitely recommend coming up here if you're the sort of person that loves a good view. And also another interesting fact is that the last Ming emperor actually hung himself on a tree in this park in 1644 when the Ming Dynasty collapsed. So now we've come to the opposite side of the pavilion, and instead of getting views of the city, we have got views of the Forbidden City, and look at how cool that is. So you can see all the golden rooftops from the Forbidden City, and if we do ever come again, we'll definitely have to go inside and take a look. It all looks so beautiful. Everything's really clean too, is one thing that we have noticed, and I have to say, Beijing, beautiful city. Now it's time to head back down to the bottom, so it should be a lot easier than going to the top. So we're going to pass a couple more pavilions again on the way down, built during the Ming Dynasty, and then we should get back to the entrance. Beijing has really impressed me so far with just how green and beautiful it actually is, especially in the centre, and then it's got the CBD all around the outside. But we're now walking currently through some gardens as we head our way towards what looks like either another pavilion or temple. And I have to say, everything's just so clean. You don't see any mess anywhere in any of these places. It's beautiful. So it's actually called the Grand Hall Complex, which was built during the Qing Dynasty, and it's now been filled with artwork. So we've got some really impressive pieces from loads of different years. And I'd say the art here is very, very pretty. So we may have to buy something at some point to take back with us if we ever do come back to Asia. One thing I have learned with all of these pavilion buildings is that when you're actually stepping into the pavilion, you shouldn't actually step on this piece here. So it's actually quite disrespectful. So you're meant to just step straight up, over and across. And then in here, they've got more amazing, stunning artwork. Near to the Grand Hall, there is actually a little market with lots of cute little shops. So if you did want to have a look at any souvenirs and this little bit of food stands too, you can get some from here. We've just come across this section and it is reminding me of the Karate Kid. It is the bonsai trees. And it looks like there's loads of different types of bonsai tree. I don't know if I'm right here, someone will have to let me know down in the comments below. But that one's got like a sort of grape thing going off it here. I'm not too sure what's going on there. There's one down here which has got like the pink little flowers on it too. But beautiful. I'll have to get myself a bonsai tree when we get home for the house. That is going to be it for the Jingshan Gardens. I have to say they were amazing and I definitely recommend going. For 41p, it is a no-brainer. We've also got ourselves a couple of drinks from the, I think it was a cafe called Chang Tea. They're quite expensive, so we got two of these. One was a green grape lemonade and Beth got a red summer pomelo drink as well, which is another one of these lemonades. And Beth's not a massive fan of hers because it's got bits, but the taste, I think, is actually really nice. But it did cost 72 yen, which is around £7.40. So quite expensive, kind of like a Starbucks sort of prices. And you can definitely get drinks cheaper elsewhere. But Beth's gonna get onto DD now and we'll take you over to our next location via taxi. Our second and final stop is the 798 Art District, which has got some cool, quirky artwork, and it's also got somewhere where we can grab some food. So it's got a load of cafes, bars, restaurants, etc. And then I think the cool arty stuff sort of dotted around too. So we'll have a look around and get some food first, and then we'll go and check out the art. This is a really cool section. It's called Train Street, which you might be able to see just there. And it's basically full of loads of like train carriages, which is either art or, by the looks of it, some of them actually have little bars and restaurants. So there's one over there, which you can see. God, the sun's so bright right now though. It's coming towards sort of 5 p.m. and the sun is beginning to go down. But I have to say, it's a nice, cool, quirky area. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Hong Kong art. So this one here is called the Local Dog, where you get hot dogs, but you also get little dogs too. There seems to be some connection with dogs. This one's called White Dogs. And look who sat right at the front of the door here. He's massive. Beth's already in her element. So that White Dog place was basically like a dog cafe rather than a cat cafe. It was full of dogs. You can go and get drinks and buy the dogs treats and stuff. And you can also get an annual pass if you did want to come here all of the time. God, the sun's bright, I have to say. But it is quite cool. However, I do think it's slightly unfinished. I can see some like restaurants setting up right now and people like moving in. Got a few people taking like promotional photos and stuff. So it's pretty good for influencers. And like this one here looks pretty empty and looks like that this one will be something at some point. But I really like the idea. It's really cool and quirky and kind of reminds me a little bit of Bristol. For food, we have come to Pita Pita, which is one of the train carts, which I was just showing you outside. And they basically do salad bowls and rice bowls and stuff like that. And it actually looks really nice and fresh. So we have gone for the tofu bowl. Unfortunately, they didn't have any sweet corn or chickpeas, but we'll give it a try and see what we think. It's very nice. It did take them a while to make it, but we got it eventually. And it tastes delicious. That food was delicious and it came to 43 yen, which is about £4.45. So that's not too expensive, to be honest. We shared that, so hopefully we can get some more Chinese food at some point before we go to bed. Looks pretty cool though with the train in the background. Got loads more artwork coming up right now, as you can see it ahead of us. So we'll just have a little explore and see what else we can find. Right next to these restaurants, it looks like they've got the Apple VR headsets or whatever they're called. I can't remember what the name of them actually is, but they're just in the middle of the streets playing on these, so I don't want to walk past them, otherwise you might get taken out. You definitely have to come down here and check it out. It is really cool. They've got loads of quirky shops either side of me right now. A few nice little bars and restaurants too, where they sell Beijing pale ale, etc. And then down here on the left hand side, there's loads of cool little artwork going on down there as well. So you've got a helicopter, hot air balloon there. So another really nice shop here. And then looks like a little goldsmiths of some form there, with a wheelbarrow full of gold and all the gold bars going at the side too. So we've come to Peking Pancake restaurant. Now, it's actually really nice and it smells incredible. I don't have a clue what I've ordered. It's probably some kind of pancake dish, and it's got pork and chive inside, and then they've got a little sauce station up at the top, and I've made myself like a garlic and soy sauce. So I'm hoping this should taste amazing. But I've just watched some other people to eat them, and they basically just got the chopstick around the whole thing, and then they dip it in the sauce and shove it in the mouth. So let's see if we can get a good grip of it. Well, there we go, it's not a bad start. I've also seen some people as well putting aprons on. There's like a bit, and I might be able to find out why in just a second. That is really nice. It's kind of like a dumpling filled with pork and chive. It's got a really nice outer taste. My sauce that I've made too, banging sauce, garlic and soy sauce, tastes delicious. So we're going to enjoy our food, and I'll let you know how much it all comes to. That food was delicious, and it only came to 27 yen, which is about £2.80, and that also came with a Sprite, and they actually made us a free tea too, so delicious. Now it's time to order a taxi through DD again back to the hotel, and that is it for our time here in Beijing. And my first impressions of Beijing is that I actually really do like it. It's really clean, very green too, which I was actually really surprised about. I thought it'd be more urban, a bit more like Hong Kong, where it's less green parks, less green space, but around here there's actually loads, and especially in the centre too, where they've got the parks, the forbidden temples, etc, etc. In terms of food, delicious too. It's slightly more expensive than Shenzhen was when we stopped off in Shenzhen, but I still really enjoyed it. I also love the fact that they've got the bike lanes too, so you've got cars in the centre, very busy. That's probably the worst bit about Beijing, is waiting in traffic all the time, but if you have a bike, the bike lane is perfect for that. But if you did enjoy this one, you should go and check out our last vlog where we actually made our trip from London all the way to Sydney with Air China. So you can go check all of that out, and hopefully you found this one useful for if you do ever come to Beijing. So I'll see you all in the next vlog.